So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Prelims Powerplay. In this lecture series, as you guys all know, we cover past 1 year's important news items, important current affairs. Now all these important current affairs are divided into subjects and we cover each and every subject one by one. Currently, it's the turn of economics. So right now we are covering all the important current affairs or all the important topics that featured in past 1 year's newspaper with respect to economics. Okay, so if you have been following this lecture series for quite some time, you know this, that we have covered many topics from economics. We had covered till external sector. Today, we are going to begin with agriculture. Okay, so we will cover all the important news items, all the important current affairs with respect to agriculture. All right. Now, before starting the lecture, I would like to apologize to you all for being a little late. We took 2 days off. And I always say this, that time is of the essence. It is very important. Prelims is not that far. Time is very important. But I took 2 days off. But those 2 days were for a reason. I took those 2 days off for a very important reason. And that reason was that there were a few topics that were ignored by us, okay, in the previous lecture that I had planned with respect to agriculture. But I found out that there were some topics that are important for us to discuss because questions might be asked. So I've included those topics in today's lecture as well. Okay, that is why it took us a couple of days. All right, but nonetheless, well, we have started today, so we will continue. And don't worry, I have taken the responsibility of covering all important topics for this year's prelims examination. So you don't have to worry. Before your prelims examination, everything would be covered. Each and every subject would be covered. All right. Now today we are going to start with agriculture. Okay. So let's start. Now within agriculture, we are going to be covering 4 topics today. Okay. Now agriculture is a bulky topic. It's a big topic, right? So therefore we'll be covering agriculture in 2 lectures, 2 or 3 lectures. Okay. Today's lecture would be focused on the following 4 topics. What are those topics? Well, topic number 1 is related to contract farming. It's very important, so we'll do that. Topic number 2 is called project related to animal health, okay, or project for monitoring animal health. Topic number 3 is related to cotton crisis in India, crisis with respect to cotton crop. And topic number 4 is related to a fertilizer called Nano DAP, diammonium phosphate. Okay, there was a lot of trouble with respect to diammonium phosphate, its availability and its impact on the Rabi crop season. Okay, so these are the 4 topics that we are going to cover. So without further delay, let's start discussing them one by one. Okay, let's start with topic number 1, which is contract farming. Okay, all right. Now the thing is, as far as contract farming is concerned, well, it is very important. Okay, contract farming basically allows us to diversify cropping patterns in India. It helps in crop diversification. It raises the income of farmers as well. Now, how? We'll try to understand this. Okay. Now, the way through which this topic of contract farming was covered in Indian Express's explained section was that they gave us a story. In that article, they gave us a story, and that story was related to consumption of French fries in India. You must have heard about French fries, right? Now, French fries are made up of potatoes, but they require a particular kind of potato. Okay, not the kind of potato that we are used to buying in our homes. It requires a particular kind of potato. Now, in India, for the past decade or a decade before today, well, those potatoes had to be imported. We used to import French fries. Okay, we used to import potatoes for making French fries for consumption in India. But now the situation is that we are not only self-reliant when it comes to those French fries kind of potatoes. Not only we are self-reliant, we have also become one of the major exporters. So a decade ago, we were importers of this particular kind of potatoes. Now we are not only self-reliant, we are exporters. Okay, we not only meet domestic demand, we also meet the domestic demand of other countries. Now, all of that was possible because of contract farming. So what is contract farming? Okay, let's try to understand that And then in the end, I'll also talk about this potato story also. Okay, you need to know a few facts about potatoes as well for your examination. Clear? So let's start with contract farming. Now the thing is that within agriculture, there is a problem, and that problem is related to farm income. Farmers' incomes have been declining. I mean, not declining, but they have kind of stagnated, real income. Okay. Now, the reason for depressed farm incomes, well, there are many reasons, but one such reason is too many middlemen in this chain. Now, let me explain this. Look, the farmer produces a particular crop, and then this crop reaches the final consumer, right? But during this journey, it passes through various middlemen, and then it reaches the final consumer. Okay. Now, these middlemen can be wholesale traders, retail traders, food processors, and many, right? Now, because of these middlemen, what happens is that these middlemen are there for their own benefit. They earn a particular form of commission, right? So what happens is that farmers produce a crop and sell it for very cheap prices. Okay. But these middlemen add their commissions. Okay. And the cost increases, and when finally it reaches the consumer, the prices are very high. So because of the presence of so many middlemen, and these middlemen charge their commission, right? Farmers receive very little price for their crop, and consumers have to pay very high price for the food that they are buying, right? This happens. What if there was a way through which, well, the number of middlemen in this chain can be reduced? One way is contract farming. Okay. Under contract farming, what can happen is there will be just one middleman. Okay. There will be one company. That's it. This company will directly buy from farmers, process the food. For example, French fries company. Okay. This French fries company would buy potatoes from farmers directly, create French fries from those potatoes, and then sell directly to the consumers. So you would have reduced the number of middlemen. Now, once you reduce the number of middlemen, what happens is, well, this high price that the consumer pays, that also gets reduced. And the farmers which are getting very little price, that increases. Because the number of, or the amount of, or the number of, because with the reduction in number of middlemen, this commission gets reduced. Plus, there are many more benefits associated with contract farming. So let's try to understand what contract farming is. Okay, it's very simple. Contract farming is extremely simple. Okay, let's suppose there is this company, and let's suppose it is a French fries company. Let's call this company A. Okay, now this company is in the business of procuring potatoes. Okay, then they basically in their factories, they process them, they create French fries out of them, and then they finally sell those French fries. Okay, it is a big, huge multinational company. It procures potatoes and sells French fries. Okay, let's suppose this is the company. Now, if there is no contract farming, then this company would have to procure potatoes from the same middlemen that we were talking about. These wholesale traders and many more like them. Okay, from different mandis. This company would have to go to different marketing yards, mandis. These middlemen would also charge their commission and would sell these potatoes to this company, and then this company processes the food and then sells it in the market. What if this company has the advantage or the opportunity of directly dealing with the farmers? Now, how do they directly deal with the farmers? What advantages do farmers get in directly dealing with this company? So what happens is, this company negotiates a contract with the farmers. In that contract, well, this company says that we need this particular variety of potato. Okay, so you have to use this particular quality of seed. Okay, the farming technique used by you would also be dictated by us. We will tell you which farming technique you use. Okay, you'll be using. Okay, so these are the seeds that you are going to use. This is the technique that you are going to use to farm. This is the variety of potato that we will buy from you. Okay, once you have produced this particular kind of potato that we are asking from you, we will buy this potato from you directly at this price. The price is negotiated beforehand. So the farmers basically get a guarantee of sorts that whatever they are going to produce, they have a guaranteed minimum price. Okay, farmers get price guarantee, so they can take their decisions accordingly. They don't have to worry about this thing that once their potato crop is ready, what if the market price crashes? No, they have done this contract, and in that contract the buying price is ready. Okay, already negotiated. So farmers get this guarantee, farmers get this income security. Okay, and this company gets a particular quality and quantity of potatoes that it wants, the kind of potatoes it wants. It will get that because in this contract it is written which variety of potato we will buy, which seeds you are going to use, which technology or which technique you are going to use. Everything is written in this contract. This contract would be signed by this company and the farmers. And if any of the party, for example, after the harvest of potato crop, the company refuses to buy these potatoes, well, then this farmer can go to court. Okay, so this is the contract, and basically this ensures predictability. Farmers are ensured of a particular price, companies are assured of a particular variety of potato, right? Simply put, this is contract, and this is known as contract farming. Very simple. Now, in this contract, the company can also assist the farmers by providing them some loans. The company can give them loans also, okay, so that they can buy inputs. The company can provide them with seeds also. All of that can be done depending upon the contract or the deal that they do. Okay. Now, this particular form of farming is called contract farming, and it has a lot of advantages. Okay. Let's take a look at those advantages. First of all, it reduces the risk. It basically helps in risk reduction. Now, how is this risk reduction? Basically, what do we mean by this risk reduction? Well, it reduces the risk for both farmers and the company. For farmers, they'll be getting an assured price. So they get a price guarantee. For company, they are going to get a guarantee on the particular kind of crop that they want. Okay, so companies would get assured procurement. The companies would also get assured price because that price has been negotiated by them only. Had they purchased this potato crop from a middleman, well, the middleman could have increased or decreased the price based on the market dynamics. But this company has already negotiated the price. So this company will get an assured price decided beforehand. The farmer will get assured return. So both their risks get reduced. Plus assured procurement. The amount, the kind of potatoes that this company wants, well, will be given to them. Then, well, this company also helps the farmers to basically get access to the inputs that they need. For example, these farmers need a particular kind of fertilizers, a particular kind of seeds. Seeds, fertilizers, pesticides all come under inputs. Now, this company will help the farmers to basically get those inputs, right? Farmers also get access to markets. Because earlier farmers were dependent on these middlemen. Now farmers are directly dealing with the companies who are major players in the market. So farmers get direct access to the market. That is a good thing for farmers, right? Then it increases the income levels of farmers because farmers are now directly dealing with the companies. Okay, they are not dependent on any middlemen who are working there for their own commission. So that definitely increases the price the farmers get. Okay. Then it also leads to operational efficiency. How? Because it becomes easier to manage a supply chain where there are very few middlemen. The crop would be procured directly from farmers and the processed food would be sold directly to the market. There are very few middlemen, right? So the transportation burden, logistics burden, storage burden would also get reduced. Operational efficiency would be ensured. Okay. And the last part is crop diversification. And this is very important for you to understand. Why contract farming would promote crop diversification. Okay. Hear me out carefully. Now look, government currently provides MSP for two major crops, that is rice and wheat, right? And government gives assured procurement, or government gives the guarantee of procurement also. So any farmer who is growing rice or wheat, government is ready to buy that rice or wheat at this MSP price, which is minimum support price, which is guaranteed beforehand. So more and more farmers in India are inclined towards growing rice and wheat because they get a guarantee through MSP. MSP gives them that price guarantee. That is why they are more inclined towards rice and wheat. Farmers of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, well, they have basically made themselves dependent upon this rice, wheat, repeat cropping pattern. Rice in the Kharif season, wheat in the Rabi season, and then repeat, right? Now, this monoculture of rice and wheat basically has made their soil infertile. Okay, too much dependency on rice and wheat is really impacting our soil. Therefore, the need of the hour is crop diversification. We need to diversify the crops that we grow. Okay, but the problem is that, well, farmers say that rice and wheat is safe option for us, is a safe option for us. That is why we won't move away from rice and wheat. It gives, well, our families are dependent on it. We get assured returns from this monoculture of rice and wheat, right? So crop diversification is not happening in India because of this monoculture of rice and wheat. And because of that, our soils are becoming barren. And that is a problem. Therefore, crop diversification is the need of the hour. And one way through which farmers can be incentivized to diversify their crops is through contract farming, because within contract farming also, farmers get price guarantee. So if farmers are given this option of price guarantee, okay, with respect to potatoes, tomatoes, pulses, and many other types of crops, then farmers would shift towards them readily, right? So contract farming would basically incentivize crop diversification. More and more farmers would be inclined to grow horticultural crops, potato, tomatoes, and vegetables, fruits, and all that. Make sense? So it would aid crop diversification, which would really help soil health in India and give a boost to agriculture as a whole. So contract farming is basically really advantageous. Now the thing is, how is contract farming regulated in India? Okay, I mean, what laws basically regulate this system of contract farming? So you have to remember that in India, contracts, any contract, okay, is regulated as per Indian Contracts Act 1872, British era law. Okay. Now, when it comes to agricultural contracts, well, the matter is completely in the domain of state governments, because agricultural marketing is a state subject. States can make laws on it, right? Now, some states have provisions for contract farming in their Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee Acts, APMC Acts. Some states allow contract farming in their APMC Acts. Some states don't, or some states allow, but they have erected so many roadblocks in front of contract farming. So contract farming is not successful in those states, right? So it is up to the states. Now, central government has created Model Contract Farming Act 2018, which states can use or basically apply to their own state. Okay. Now, this is a law created by center, but this law will be applicable in a particular state only if a state wants. Now, this law is good when it comes to promoting contract farming, but some states have applied this law, some states haven't. So this is basically an issue. Okay. Now, when it comes to potatoes, yeah, we started with the discussion on potatoes. So here are a few facts that you need to know about potatoes. So there are two types of potatoes. Okay, table potatoes that we buy. Okay, that are used in our homes, and then there is processing grade potatoes. Now, processing grade potatoes are those potatoes which are used to make French fries. Okay. Now, table potatoes. Why are table potatoes not used for making French fries? I'll tell you. So, table potatoes have more moisture and less dry matter. 15 to 16% dry matter. Okay. They have more moisture. Plus, they have high sugar content. Okay. Glucose, high reducing sugar. Now, this sugar is a problem. Why? Because most of these potatoes are stored in cold storages. Now, when you store these potatoes in cold storages, this sugar starts to basically accumulate at the surface of the potato. Now, when you fry these potatoes for French fries, well, they turn into black color. So, these French fries are darker, but the French fries we eat in the market are completely golden, right? They don't have any black tinge. It's because of low sugar content in processing grade potatoes. In processing grade potatoes, well, they are bigger, fatter, less moisture and more dry matter, okay, less sugar. So with this less sugar, when you fry these potatoes, they don't give a dark tinge. So they look more appealing. That's why they use processing grade potatoes, okay. Now, like I said earlier, India had to import processing grade potatoes, but now India started producing these processing grade potatoes on its own. So India has created its own variety of processing grade potatoes. It's called Kufri variety. Okay, it was developed by Central Potato Research Institute, Shimla. So they created a particular seed called Kufri variety, and those potatoes that come out of this variety are processing grade. Nonetheless, you need to know about this information. That's all. All right, clear? Okay, now let's quickly jump to topic number 2, which is project to monitor animal health. Okay, project to monitor animal health. Now, the thing is that, well, animal health is important. Okay, why? Because if you are not concerned with animal health, well, human health is going to suffer. Why? Well, the thing is that there is a particular category of diseases called zoonotic diseases. Okay, these zoonotic diseases are those diseases which transfer themselves, or the microorganisms that cause these diseases, they jump from animals to humans. For example, earlier they used to say that COVID-19, the virus SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19 virus, actually was there in bats, then it jumped to humans. So there are many viruses. For example, rabies virus. Okay, rabies virus first infects a dog, and when that dog bites you, well, that virus enters your body, right? So there are some diseases that jump from animals to humans, and these diseases are rising. Okay, now people are concerned that people think that there can be another pandemic in the future, and we want to prevent this pandemic. Okay, now to prevent this pandemic, we need to basically stop these zoonotic diseases. For that, we need to monitor animal health, because next time in future, a virus or a bacteria that infects animals might jump towards humans and then create a pandemic-like situation, right? Therefore, we need to monitor animal health also. There is an approach also. There is a term for this. It is called One Health approach. One Health approach means that human health, animal health, environmental health, they all go together. They are related to each other. If environment gets damaged, it damages animals, it damages humans. The health of all these three things, animals, environment and humans, they are interrelated. Therefore, we need to tackle all three of them simultaneously together. Okay. Now, to focus on just the animal component of this One Health approach, okay, we have basically launched this project to monitor animal health so that we can avoid a pandemic in future, which was basically a zoonotic disease. Basically, we want to avoid a future pandemic that came from animals. Therefore, we need to monitor the health of animals. Simple, right? So let's start. Project to monitor animal health. Okay, so about this project. So the official name of this project is Animal Health Security Strengthening in India for Pandemic Preparedness and Response Initiative. And basically, this project has been launched by Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry. Okay. Now, the purpose of this project is to enhance capacity to prevent, detect, and respond to animal health threats. Okay. So, India should have the capacity to prevent a future animal health threat, to detect it beforehand with early warning systems, and to respond to animal health threats so that they do not transfer to humans and create a pandemic-like situation. Now, this entire project is approved by Pandemic Fund. Now, Pandemic Fund is an international fund, and it was created by G20 countries, and it was created when Indonesia was the president of G20 countries. Now, this Pandemic Fund would sponsor projects that would monitor animal health in low and middle income countries. Okay, so Pandemic Fund, the money in this Pandemic Fund will be used to basically enhance the capacity of developing countries to monitor animal health. Okay, and through this Pandemic Fund, India received $25 million for this particular project. Okay, so basic purpose of the fund is to assist low and middle income countries in strengthening their capacities to identify, report, and contain future pandemics. That is why it is called Pandemic Fund. Okay, now, how will this project be implemented? So first of all, India will implement this project. Okay, Ministry for Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying would implement this project, but we would get help from 3 international agencies. What are those 3 international agencies? Well, Asian Development Bank, ADB stands for Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. Okay, so remember, these 3 agencies would help us implement this project. This project is basically it will go on till August 2026. And what is the impact that is expected out of this project? Okay, so the launchers of this project, they say that this project, if implemented successfully, this would reduce the risk that a pathogen will emerge from animals and be transmitted to the human population. Okay, now remember, I am introducing a term to you guys. Diseases that jump from animals to humans are called zoonotic diseases. Okay, and this process of jumping from animals to humans is called zoonosis. So the impact of this project would be to prevent future zoonosis. That zoonosis that can become a pandemic in future or an epidemic in future, right? Now, what was the need for this project? Why did India launch this project? Okay, it is said that there have been 6 public health emergencies of international concern by WHO in the past few decades. Okay, one such public health emergency was COVID-19 pandemic. Similar to COVID-19 pandemic, there were 5 other public health emergencies of international concern. Okay, now out of these 6, which includes COVID-19, out of these 6, 5 were zoonotic diseases. That means 5 of those public health emergencies came from animals. Therefore, there is a need for monitoring animal health. Okay, about 2/3 of infectious diseases affecting humans originate from animals. 2/3 of all infections, global infections, they come from animals. Plus, India has 536 million livestock and other wild animals. We have a huge animal population. So, we need to be concerned about this zoonosis. Right? Now, what steps or what will be done under this project? Okay, what steps would be taken? What interventions would be taken? So first of all, India would strengthen and integrate disease surveillance of bacteria, viruses in animals, and early warning system. So for example, COVID-19 is developing, so there will be an early warning so that we are prepared well in advance. Then upgrading and expanding the laboratory network, improving the interoperable data system so that we can share data with global agencies, building capacity for data analytics and risk communication, strengthening health security for transboundary animal diseases. For example, COVID-19 was a transboundary animal disease. Okay, and India's role in regional cooperation through cross-border collaboration. Right? That's all. That's all you need to know. Now let's quickly shift to topic number 3, which is crisis in cotton. Okay, cotton crisis. Now look, cotton is grown in India and it is grown by many farmers. Okay, it is grown by many farmers of Punjab, many farmers of Haryana, many farmers of North Rajasthan, many farmers of the Deccan region, right? Cotton is grown in many parts of India, many parts of Deccan region also. Now, if we are talking about North India, well, within North India, basically, cotton farmers suffer from a particular kind of insect or pest that damages their cotton crops and basically impacts their yield. Okay, and that insect or pest is pink bollworm. Cotton farmers of North India are particularly concerned about this pink bollworm threat. And because of this pink bollworm threat, many farmers have abandoned cotton altogether. Okay, they have abandoned cotton altogether. Clear? Such is the threat of pink bollworm. Right? Now, what is the threat? Let's talk about this. I mean, what has been the impact of this threat? Mind you, I'm talking about cotton crisis in North India. This news item is not focused on cotton crisis of Deccan India. Okay, we are focused on North India, Northern Plains, Punjab Plains, okay, Haryana, some parts of Ganga Valley as well. All right. Now, crisis in cotton. Okay, so what has been the crisis? Crisis is particularly acute in Punjab and Haryana. Okay, in Punjab. The two pests or insects that trouble farmers are, well, white flies and pink bollworm. Pink bollworm, also called PBW, well, is a big threat to farmers. Okay. Now, pink bollworm threat appeared in North India in the cotton cropping season of 2017-18. Before that, farmers were not concerned about pink bollworm. They were concerned about another variety of bollworm. A particular form of bollworm used to basically trouble cotton farmers, but cotton farmers found a way to handle this threat. Okay. But in the year of 2017-18, this pink bollworm threat appeared and it has been reoccurring. And farmers have no way out. Okay, they get troubled by this. We'll understand why pink bollworm is so dangerous. But such is the level of threat that, well, the thing is, 3 decades back, cotton was grown on 8 lakh hectares of Punjab. Today, in 2024, only 1 lakh hectares of Punjab is used to grow cotton. So most farmers have abandoned this crop. Okay. Now, this drop in acreage, okay, if less farmers are growing cotton crops, it not only impacts farmers, it also impacts industry, because textile industry requires this cotton, right? So if very few farmers are growing cotton in Punjab, well, textile industry of Punjab would suffer. Okay, and it has had an impact on textile industry of Punjab. So this drop in acreage has in turn harmed the ginning industry, the industry which creates threads from this ball of cotton. Okay, only 22 ginning units remain operational in Punjab today, down from 422 in 2004. So there were 422 ginning units which used to create threads out of this cotton. Now only 22, because not many farmers are growing cotton crops. Okay. Now, let's try to understand this threat of pink bollworm and what are the solutions we have in front of us. But before that, you need to know that before pink bollworm threat, farmers used to face another threat. Okay, and that was the bollworm threat. Okay, bollworm was a form of pest that used to impact cotton crops before. Okay, before, let's say 2002. Clear? But then we created a particular category of seed, cotton seed, that was resistant to this bollworm. Okay, and that is known as BT cotton. So BT cotton is a variety of cotton seed which has genes, okay, DNA from a soil bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, now the thing is, this Bacillus thuringiensis, this particular form of bacteria, produced some proteins. Okay, those proteins were called Cry1AC and Cry2AB. Okay, now the thing is that this bacteria produced these proteins. These proteins impact these insects and pests. They destroy these insects and pests. Okay, now scientists thought that if we take the genes, DNA of this bacteria and introduce these particular genes in the cotton seed, well, then this cotton will also produce these proteins and they would basically impact the pests and the insects that attack cotton crop, right? So this particular form of cotton, BT cotton, it became resistant to insects and pests because now it had the genes of this bacteria which produces this protein. This protein repels those insects. Okay, so this particular form of seed, BT cotton, was introduced in India in 2002. After that, almost all Indian farmers started growing BT cotton. Okay, now there is this international seed company called Monsanto. Okay, it created a seed called Bolgard. Okay, Bolgard 1. So Bolgard 1 was basically the brand name of BT cotton. Most farmers in India use Bolgard 1. Okay, Bolgard 1 contained this protein, basically this, the capacity to produce this protein. Okay, then Monsanto came with another version, Bolgard 2. This contains these two proteins. So Bolgard 2 is a little more better because it produces more proteins, it repels most insects. Now most farmers in India use Bolgard 2. Clear? Simple. But the catch is, after 2017-18, a new insect has come into the picture that is called pink bollworm. Pink bollworm is resistant to Cry1AC2AB. It is resistant. These two proteins don't work on pink bollworm, and pink bollworm freely impacts this cotton crop. Now, Monsanto says that we have another variety called Bolgard 3 which contains many other proteins that would impact pink bollworm. But this Bolgard 3 has not received approval in India. And because it has not received approval in India, farmers cannot use this seed variety. Farmers are stuck with Bolgard 2, and that is why many cotton farmers of India are basically telling their government to allow Bolgard 3. This is the issue. Alright. Now, what are the other ways apart from using Bolgard 3? What are the other ways through which you can improve the yield of cotton crop? Okay, so that more and more cotton can be grown. You can use proper seeding. Okay, the way through which you sow seeds, mulching. Basically, you cover your ground with straw so that moisture is not leaked into the atmosphere, because cotton also requires some water. Okay, so proper seeding and mulching, high density planting. In very small area, you sow so many seeds. Okay, drip fertigation. So you use drip irrigation, and along with drip irrigation, you apply some fertilizer. These are the three ways through which you can improve the yield. But farmers are saying that we use these three ways, but still we are suffering because of pink bollworm. We need Bolgard 3. Government needs to give approval fast. Okay. So that's all as far as the cotton crisis is concerned. But we need to have some information about pink bollworm, right? So about pink bollworm. So it first appeared in North India in 2017-18 season. It damages the cotton crop because its larvae buries itself in the cotton ball, okay, and then destroys that ball. So farmers cannot use it to sell to textile industry, okay. Now how does it spread? It spreads through the air. So if a particular cotton crop is infected with PBW, then if you allow that cotton crop to mix with the safe cotton crop, the disease would spread there. Spreads through air, often through residue of infected crops and infected cotton seeds. That is the issue. Alright, and now let's quickly jump to topic number 4, which is Nano DAP. Okay. Now what is Nano DAP? First of all, for that you need to know what is DAP. So DAP is basically a particular form of fertilizer that provides nitrogen and phosphorus to your soil, two very important nutrients for your soil. Okay, the full form of DAP is diammonium phosphate. The ammonium part provides nitrogen and phosphate part provides phosphorus. Both of them are very important for your soil health. Now, the problem with DAP is that Indian farmers require 10 to 11 million tons of DAP annually. But India only produces around 5 million tons of DAP annually. So the rest of DAP comes through imports. So we are partially import dependent when it comes to DAP. But if we do not import that DAP, what will happen? Farmers won't get access to this fertilizer and it would damage their crops. Mostly Rabi crops, the crops grown during the winter season, right? It would really damage. DAP is a very important fertilizer for farmers. Well, it is the second most consumed fertilizer in India. Number 1 is urea. Number 2 is DAP. DAP is really required by farmers. But half of it has to be imported. Clear? Now the thing is that the problem with too much import is that India is import dependent as far as DAP is concerned, and that increases India's import bill. That is problematic. Plus this imported DAP, you cannot sell this imported DAP directly to farmers because farmers require DAP at very low prices. So government provides them a subsidy. Now this imported DAP, government buys it from abroad at very high prices, but it sells the farmers at very low prices, sells that DAP. So government provides a huge subsidy. In fact, India's total fertilizer subsidy burden is 1.8 lakh crores. So India wants to reduce its fertilizer subsidy burden also. Plus India also wants to become self-reliant when it comes to DAP production, right? Now for that, government launched Nano DAP. Now what is Nano DAP? Let's talk about that, okay? So look, DAP is available in powder form, okay? Now Nano DAP is a particular form of DAP that is available in liquid form, in bottles, okay? Nano DAP was developed in 2003 by Indian Farmer Fertilizer Cooperative Union, okay, IFCO. So IFCO created Nano Urea in 2021 and then they created Nano DAP in 2023, okay. Now they are saying that if more and more farmers use Nano DAP instead of normal DAP, then this would give us a lot of advantages. First of all, it would reduce our import burden, right? Because Nano DAP is produced in India, normal DAP is imported. So if you use Nano DAP, it would reduce our import burden and it would also reduce our subsidy burden. Plus, it would make India self-reliant when it comes to fertilizer consumption, right? So IFCO plus Government of India is promoting the usage of Nano DAP, okay? Make sense? Now Nano DAP has some advantages. Government is actually marketing the usage of Nano DAP, okay? Government says that Nano DAP is superior to this conventional powder form of DAP. How so? Well, first of all, it is logistically easier to manage. It is easier to manage Nano DAP, liquid DAP. The thing is that powdered fertilizers, when there is high moisture in the air, well, these powdered fertilizers, what happens is they absorb that moisture and they form cakes. And it is very difficult to apply that caked form of fertilizer in the fields. But that won't be a problem when it comes to liquid fertilizer, right? So it is logistically easier to manage, okay? Plus, it is cheaper than powdered granular DAP. It is cheaper. A 500 ml bottle of Nano DAP, which costs rupees 600, is sufficient to cover 1 acre of land. Okay, 1 acre of land in which you are growing wheat. Whereas in the same 1 acre of land, if you are growing wheat, you would require 50 kg bag of normal DAP, which would cost double the price, 1350. So you would halve your fertilizer cost if you use Nano DAP. So Government of India is promoting it, right? That's all. That's all you need to know as far as today's lecture is concerned, okay? And we conclude today's lecture. Now, I want to tell you this, that the notes for this lecture and all the other previous lectures are now available on our Telegram channel, okay? So you can check out our Telegram channel and you can find the notes over there. The MCQs for all the lectures, all the previous lectures and today's lecture would be uploaded at the last day of economics lecture, okay? Which is just a couple of days away. So within 3 days, you will get MCQs for all the previous lectures as well. As far as the notes are concerned, they are available on our Telegram channel. So do check them out. And with that, I conclude today's session. Thank you so much, everyone.